Good day, everyone. I am Casimir Tulo, the second reporter from the Group 6, and today I'll be discussing the Chapter 1 of Nolimi Tangere, entitled The Social Gathering. These chapters serve as the novel's opening scene, introducing us to the key characters and the social dynamics of Spanish colonial society in the Philippines. On the last day of October, Don Santiago de los Santos, popularly known as Capitan Tiago, gave a dinner. In spite of the fact that, contrary to his unusual custom, he had made the announcement only that afternoon. It was already the sole topic of conversations in Binondo and adjustment districts, and even in the whole city, for at that time, Capitan Tiago was considered one of the most hospitable of men, and it was well known that his house, like his country, shuts its door against nothing except commerce and all new or bold idea. Like an electric shock, the announcement ran through the world of parasites, bores, and hungers, on whom God in His finite bounty create and so kindly multiplies in Manila. Some look at once for show polish, others for buttons and cravats, but all were especially concerned about how to greet the master of the house in the most familiar tone, in order to create an atmosphere of ancient friendship, or if occasion should arise to excuse a late arrival. The dinner was held in a house on Kel and Log, and although we do not remember the number, we will describe it in such a way that may still be recognized, provided the earthquakes have not destroyed it. It is rather a large building in the style of many in the country and fronts upon the arm of the Pasig, which is known to some as the Binondo River, and which, like all the streams in Manila, plays the varied roles of bath, sewer, laundry, fishery, means of transportation, and communication. And even drinking water of the Chinese water carrier finds it convenient. If we go upstairs, we immediately find ourselves in a spacious hallway, called there for some unknown reason the Caida, which tonight serves as the dining room and at the same time affords the place for the orchestra. In the center, a large table, profusely and expensively decorated, seems to be beckoned to the hanger-on with sweet promises, while it threatens the bashful maiden, the simple dalaga, with two mortal hours in the company of stranger whose language and conversation usually have a very restricted and special character. At the back of the room, fastened in a splendid and elegant framework in the Renaissance style, possibly by Arevalo, is a glass case in which are seen the figures of two old women. The inscription on this reads, Our Lady of Peace and Prosperous Voyage, who is worshipped in Antipolo, visiting in the disguise of a beggar the holy and renowned Capitana Ines during her sickness. In the sala, among massive mirrors and gleaming chandeliers, the guests are assembled. The room is almost filled with people, the men being separate from the women as in Signanagas and Catholic churches. A cousin of Capitan Tiago, Aunt Isabel, a sweet-faced old woman who speaks Spanish quite badly, is the only one receiving the ladies. To offer to the Spanish ladies a plate of cigars and boyas, to extend her hand to her countrywomen, to be a kiss exactly as the friars do. This is the sum of her courtesy, her policy. At the gathering, Padre Damaso, an outspoken and arrogant Franciscan friar, loudly dominates the conversation, boasting about his 20 years in San Diego and belittling the native Filipinos, calling them indolent and ignorant. He dismissed any attempt to argue with him, rudely cutting off a young man who questions his views. Senior Laroja, another guest, agreed with Damaso's negative remarks about the native. The young man, later revealed to be Crisostomo Ibarra, calmly challenges Damaso's claims, questioning whether Filipino adolescence is natural or caused by the Spanish colonial system. Damaso ignored the logic and continued ranting about the decline of religious authority, blaming government officials for interfering with the clergy's power. Tension escalates when Damaso insults the Spanish Governor-General, boasting that in the past, religious orders would have dragged disobedient officials down the stairs. The lieutenant, a military officer, angrily warns Damaso to be careful with his words, threatening to report him. But the friar arrogantly dares him to do so, showing his lack of fear. The discussion between Padre Damaso and the young newcomer turns absurd, prompting Padre Damaso to intervene. Using complex theological reasoning, he attempts to separate the priest's words from the man's words, implying that a priest's words can never be offensive because they are derived from the divine truth. However, the elderly soiler cuts him off, revealing a scandalous incident. While Padre Damaso was away, his assistant priest buried a respected man in San Diego. When Damaso returned, he had the corpse exhumed and discarded elsewhere, simply because the man never went to confession. The man's son was in Europe, so no one in the town protests, but the governor general punished Damaso by transferring him to another town. This revelation angers Damaso, who struggled to control his rage. As the tension settles, the new guests arrive, including Dr. De Espadanya and his wife, Dr. Victorina, a vain woman obsessed with appearing Europeans. A discussion about their mysterious host, Santiago, follows, but no one has seen him. The conversation then takes a ridiculously turn when Padre Damaso falsely claimed that a Franciscan friar invented gunpowder. Doña Victorina insists that it was a missionary in China, while Padre Sibilia corrects the claim, saying a Dominican named Schwartz invented it in the 14th century, not the 7th. The debate became childish, with Damaso dismissing the correction. Finally, Doña Victorina cluelessly asked if the 14th century was before or after Christ. But before anyone can answer, two new guests arrive, ending the discussion. The Noli Me Tangere Chapter 1, The Social Gathering. To sum it all up, the story begins with a lavish dinner party hosted by Capitan Tiago in his grand house in Manila. The gathering is attended by influential people in Spanish colonial society, including friars, government officials, and wealthy Filipinos. Among the guests are Padre Damaso, a rude and arrogant Franciscan friar who represents abusive clergy; Padre Sibilia, a Dominican priest, more reserved but still influential; Lieutenant Guevara, a noble but powerless official who hints at the injustices of the system; Dr. De Espadanya and Doña Victorina, a comical couple symbolizing social climbers; and various guests discussing politics, religions, and gossips, revealing the corruptions and discrimination under the Spanish rule. The main topic of conversation is the arrival of Crisostomo Ibarra, the protagonist, who has just returned from Europe after studying abroad. His arrival sparks curiosity and tension, especially from Padre Damaso, who openly disrespects Ibarra's late father.